I was very resistant for lots of reasons to bring digital consoles into the Broadway theater. In Broadway, every scene you'll have a different 3 actors. Or let's say your first scene is 3 actors. Then your next scene is 20 actors. Then the scene after that is 4 actors. So you need to be able to have the console function so that you can be able to go to these different setups. After listening to a lot of A&D converters, I found that I thought that the Studer A&D converters were the best and the warmest and the ones that I wanted to use when I was recording my music. So we used it for the first time on a brand new Stephen Sondheim musical called Roadshow at the Public Theater. And that was the first time I allowed a digital console to be on a Sondheim musical. One of the great things about the Studer console is the Vistonics approach to how their boards are constructed, in the sense that one of the big issues I have with a lot of other digital consoles is that it feels like you're mixing off a computer screen. That whenever you have to make a change, you have to go to the computer monitor, and then you have to make changes, and then you can go back to the board. What's great about the way the Soundcraft and the Studer are set up is that you do all your changes at the channel input strip or the output strip, but you do it at the channel strip, which is totally like the experience when you're mixing on an analog board. And what is great about that is that when things start to go wrong, or you're dealing with a director who wants something to happen very, very quickly, the board makes it very easy to make changes and work in real time without having to really concentrate about, oh, what layer do I have to go to on the computer monitor to make the changes that I want to make. To get the phone call to be asked to work on the sound design for West Side Story was a great day. It was really amazing, and I was very happy that day. Then I started thinking about, well, what do we have to do to make it work? And then I go, the project is enormous. You have 55 dancer-singers. You have an orchestra of 30 musicians. And when we were doing it out of town, there was not enough room for 30 musicians in the orchestra pit, so we had to put the percussion on the 7th floor, and we had to put the woodwind section on the 8th floor. So there was all this enormous coordination of trying to make it all sound like it's happening together in a short amount of time, in the setup time that we had in Washington, D.C. And again, because of the simplicity of the way the Studer console is laid out, in terms of once we had done the setup work of the output matrices, which is also a very elegant part of the board, we felt that when we were in the theater working with the director that we could really accommodate what we needed to do very quickly with enormous complex things going on. Everybody who loves the theater has listened to that original cast album. That became like the gold standard of what you had to try to do every night in the theater. It was trying to like mix the Beatles' Abbey Road live every night, with it sounding the same way, with the balances being the same way, even though you had different musicians in the pit. The idea of trying to mix that show live every night so it sounded like the original cast album was an enormous challenge. And a lot of people came expecting it to sound exactly like that album, and it's apples and oranges. It will never sound exactly like that, but I felt that given what we were able to do, it's a great sounding show. Another place where the Vista console really showed its stuff was that the director wanted the show to be extremely sexy and extremely intimate. So the most challenging scene for us from a sound standpoint was the balcony scene, when Marie and Tony sing Tonight for the first time. And because Arthur Lawrence, the director, wanted them to be truly in love and truly intimate, he has them where they're basically, their noses are almost touching when they sing the song. And from a sound standpoint, that creates all sorts of technical problems. But we found, by finding the right microphones for the actors to wear it and find the right placement given the choreography of where they were when they were kissing and singing, and the quality of the mic pre's on the Vista, there was so little issue with phasing and reflection. I mean, I still sometimes can't believe the quality of the sound that we get, given how close the actors are when they sing that song that's so famous that everybody wants to make sure they hear every word and every note of that song. If we were to use an analog console, we would have to use a primary desk and probably 3 sidecars, so that you would have to, from a producer's standpoint, you'd have to kill you know, 25, 30 seats, which if you add up the numbers and the orchestra, what that would mean losing weekly, it turns into a significant amount of money over the course of a run of a show, especially if it's a hit show like West Side Story. So one of the great things about these products, the Studer and the Soundcraft, is that their footprint is so small. In the theater, you don't have to kill very many seats in the orchestra. Therefore, it makes producers extremely happy. But it also, from a very technical standpoint for the sound operator and the sound designer, because everything is accessed from such a small footprint, from a well-designed ergonomic console, it's a great thing on many levels. So it's win-win for me and for the producer. There was a remarkable consistency between the two boards. The type of application was extremely different. I mean, you were going from West Side Story, which had 160 inputs, and there are like, I think 85 speakers like spread all over the theater, each getting discrete information, to a play that just has 4 actors, and the sound system is quite small. The number of speakers, I think, maybe was 25. It was quite so. The task was different, but in terms of the experience for the operator at the console, it was remarkably the same. The imaging of the sound system on West Side Story and for Waiting for Godot was that the idea should not sound like it's coming from this massive array of speakers. That the way the system is timed and the way this room is EQ'd, the idea is to make it seem like it's sourced from the stage. So that when the singer is center stage, when he sings Tonight, or when he sings Maria, that it should be coming from the actor and not from the sound system. And that was one of the great things I found about Studer product, is that the Vista 5 does that thing extremely well. It's very transparent, it's very clear. So the same goal on Waiting for Godot, it was the same goal on Waiting for Godot. The producers were very nervous about us putting wireless microphones on the actors because it's a stage play. Why do you put microphones on the actors? But I assured them if they want to do something that intimate in a space that large, there is a way to do it so it doesn't seem like they have any microphones on at all. And that is exactly what we were able to create at Studio 54, so that there was just enough reinforcement to fill the room, but there was enormous clarity in what they were saying, so that you never lost a word of what they're doing, even though the style of the acting got quite intimate. And again, the Soundcraft was instrumental in making that sound quality possible.